Still the schedule.
Scheduled.
Oh,
there we go. Now we're live.
We're live. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me this evening for Kayla Cuts Deep. And this evening, I have not one, not two, but three guests on. I have the team behind Hunter Ninja Bear, which is seriously, if you guys have not read this book, you guys need to find this book and get yourself a copy of this book. This book here, I haven't ranked, and I was telling them I have not ranked all the books I've backed this year. But this book here is definitely in my top 5 books that I've backed this year. This book kicks ass. Like, I can't talk enough about it. So we have Rob Hunter here. He was the artist on the book. We have Tom.
I was the inker.
You were inker. Sorry.
Yes,
I did on the book.
Yeah, Fenolio. Kayla, I'll hold my last name. It's Fenolio.
Fenolio. I was going to say Fenoglio.
Yeah, I've been called worse, but the G is silent. So we're all good.
So Fenolio, and he's one half of the owners behind Phenom Comics. It's you and your brother that run this.
Correct.
And then we have Vaughn Coleman, who did some of the editing on this book. Yeah. And this book, Chuck Dixon, I believe, was the writer. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean, this is a team behind this book. So do you guys just want to go over possibly like how you guys met? How did this come to be?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you, Kayla. Thank you, Vaughn. You know, you two were the ones that kind of brought Rob and I into this. And just with the different coast, Chuck was busy, and then Mel is on a project of Phenom Comics, so I wouldn't let him come because he's really cranking it out. But no, we're thrilled, and really, it all started with I guess 3 aspects. My brother and I had all these stories for all these years, but then we wanted to bring them into the comic realm. So we reached out to Rob Hunter, and Rob was really the mastermind of all these pieces that went together. So we flew out to Florida, and we sat down with Rob, and we sort of started laying this out. Rob thought the different pieces, the people, different people might fit well with the stories. We liked what Joe and I were bringing to the table. And then away it went. Chuck fell into place. Then Mel heard about Chuck and Rob. And then Ivan heard about Mel. And then we just started cataloging different people like Scott McDaniel with another project of ours. We've got Bart Sears. Alex and Claire just jumped aboard with coloring. We've just got a lot of people that we've met over the years that just know that we're just nice people. We're just not, we're just trying to tell stories. And I'll go with Rob or Vaughn, but that's sort of where it started. And we just got tons of stories, and it does take a lot of time, takes a lot of effort. So you're talking 360 pages for Hunter Ninja Bear. That's 360 pages. So that's 1 year. If you think 1 page per year, that's a writer, that's a colorist, that's an inker, that's a letterer. There's a penciler in there, I guess. There's editors. There's everything. So it just took a long time to get this thing moving. So we're happy that you liked it, Kayla. It means the world to us. And that compliment means the world to us. Trust me, because you see a lot, you're in the trenches, you know what's big, you know what's hip. And for you to say those nice words, it means the world to us.
There's nothing like it. It's exactly the kind of book I think everybody needs to read. It's genius.
Mm-hmm. Well,
it's quite genius. And I'm speaking nothing but truth. I only speak the truth. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess I can say it's my truth, but no, this book, it is amazing. Everybody should read this. This is the example, not only story-wise, art-wise, but the quality of the product as well that I want to receive from a campaign that I backed. There was nothing disappointing about anything in this. Usually you can nitpick and you can find something that you do not like. I have 0 complaints.
Well,
and I can find a complaint.
That's our editing team. Nice job, Vaughn.
It was hard for me too. I was like, I got to look professional. What's wrong with it? But no, it was great. No, but it was great. There's nothing. I was blown away when I first saw it.
Tom worked really hard even after we thought we were done. He worked really hard on even like some of the graphic design stuff, but looking at characters. Did characters pop enough? Could you tell which character was which? Him and Chuck just really, they came up with more pages. Like if you thought, Tom, what was it originally? More like 320?
Yeah, it was about 320. That whole back end chapter, that was brand new. So yeah, you're right, Rob.
Yeah, so we went back. It was like when you have a movie and they do reshoots. This was not reshoots because things didn't make sense. This was, let's add 40 more pages, which you never hear that in Marvel or DC or anybody. When if someone finishes 320 pages, they're like, oh, thank God it's done. We got to ship it. Tom's like, went through it. He showed it to Vaughn, showed it to his son. He showed it to everybody. He went over it. He's like, where can we add? And he would talk to Chuck. Where can we add more cool spots, more points, double pages, a splash page? So I remember going like, dude, this is a comic book. This is a comic book. Let's just finish it. And let's get on the next project. Tom's like, no, dude, this has to be perfect. And I just be like, what do you mean perfect? Well, there you go. That's why.
Yeah. You know what? I like how Tom thinks, because it makes someone like me. And I was explaining, like, before the show started, I was someone that I grew up reading a lot of Chris Claremont X-Men. I like a big storyline. I like, I like having a good overall book. The storyline to this is phenomenal. I cannot spoil anything for people that have not read this book here, but this story will blow your mind. It has everything in it. There's so much action, and then there's great story, and there was even like moments that I thought were a little bit touching within it and made you think. And it had just everything all around that you could want out of a story. So it just and visually so
well.
Beautiful.
That's nice, because Joe and I really have similar but different tastes. Obviously, you're brothers, but there were scenes where I love. Like Lady Snowblood, The Seventh Samurai, and my brother really likes the Sergio Leone, spaghetti westerns. So we had these notions of combining this the whole time, and it's interesting because even when we went through it, and it's a very interesting story how my son and Vaughn met, but then we had to really take it out of the context of the creators. So Rob knew this from day one. Joe and I knew it. Chuck knew it. And what we needed was just some honest opinions, and especially just from the younger generation too, was that Vaughn and Hunter really brought into a situation that we could really tap into, hey, what does that 15 to 25, 30 group think of this? And so it was interesting because along with the page we added, Vaughn added a couple as well, because when he went through it and it just didn't, there were some gaps. So when you're writing and when Rob and I are so entrenched, everything bleeds in together. It works, right? But when you see it for the first time, we've been seeing this for 3 years. We're tired of it. We're sick of it. And so when you get somebody with a fresh face to it, I thought Vaughn and Hunter did an extremely nice job and a very thoughtful editing team, because they knew who, no offense to anybody, but no one edits Chuck Dixon. Chuck Dixon.
I know that was a hard job.
So it was never about the story. It was about what can we add to it, and even the art. Here you've got Rob Hunter, you got Mel Ruby, you got Ivan Nunes. Who are we to critique? We were just making sure that everything. Because this sounds stupid, but I remember getting Snaggletooth when I was a kid in Star Wars, the toy, and it didn't match what was on the movie. And it drove me nuts. Different color pants. It drove me nuts.
Well, yeah, that's like me. I'm like that to this day.
And so, we just carried that whole thing along. But I thought I thought Rob did some, and everybody did the editing along the way. But what Vaughn did was he was able to bring fresh eyes. And that was just monumental, I thought, because that we could then put it to the printer and we were okay. We got a fresh set of eyes. We got the critique, we got some spell checking mixed in, and away we went. So Vaughn, if you want to talk, I thought both you and Hunter did a great job.
Yeah, no, it was a ton of fun. I mean, I remember so I met, the mirror thing is so confusing. I met Tom through my friend Hunter, who I met at film school. We're from film background. So the comic was very cinematic, so fit for me really well. And I remember I was just hanging out with him, and I noticed all this comic book art around your house. I was like, that's really cool. I'm a huge comic book nerd. And like over a year later, I was just like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about making comics. And Hunter was like, yeah, my dad's making comics. Like, why have you never mentioned this? And I'm like, get me, just like, can you bother your dad real quick, or like something? And I swear to God, we're on the phone, and he was talking about comics. I just say, yeah, I hear, for example, one of my favorite writers, Chuck Dixon, is doing a lot of neat stuff. He goes, yeah, you're working on Chuck's book. like of all the writers, and I remember freaking out, and I was so that was great. Going through the pages, it was fun. I still have my physical notes. I would just be like on this taking notes, and I was just blown away by the art and everything, because I've never heard of. I don't think I'd heard of you guys, like Mel and all of them, but I was like instantly like, you guys. Sorry to disappoint you, but now I'm a big fan. I mean, I was blown away. I was like, wow. I remember, I don't think I ever was like, there was no scene where I was like, that doesn't need to be there. It was always like, can we see more, was my whole thing. Because it was so good that it was just like, oh, I like this guy who showed up for 2 seconds. Is there a backstory there? Oh, can we add a training montage? Like stuff like that was like, but it was never anything like that. There was nothing to take out, because like Chuck used like every panel, even rereading it. I've read it, even just when I read it for pleasure, like after I got it, I was just like, wow, like as a writer, like I was like, this is how it's done. Like the dialogue is so good. Even the quiet moments, like I don't know if I can mention any specifics, so I just won't.
Nope. But
I went in blind.
Pauses in the story that you can say it like that. Pauses within the story.
Yeah, the pauses, and then the action just explodes. But the pauses, even those are really interesting. I mean, it's just so well paced.
And Chuck was first choice. That's what when we look back at this project being put together, usually Marvel, DC, everybody, you go through maybe 10, 11, 12 different creators between writers, pencilers, inkers, colorists to find a team that can do it and can do it with the schedule or even want to do it.
Yeah.
You never knew that.
Yeah. Chuck was the first choice. Like Tom sent me the story that him and Joe had written, and it was like, I'm like, holy cow, there's so much here. But the setting and the style, I was like, oh my God, if you want this a comic book, you got to go with Chuck Dixon. And then Chuck said yes. And then Chuck and I'm talking to Tom, who's going to draw this? And Chuck had worked with Mel Ruby. Chuck had gotten Mel Ruby into comics. And I'm like, I think Mel would be perfect for this. Just the style he was doing. And I'd worked with Mel on Excalibur.
Yeah.
And boom. Yeah. He could do it too. It's like there's first choice, and that's how this book ends up being what it is.
Yeah, and then Rob needs to get a lot of credit, and I hope we can talk about his Deth Raider as well, because Joe and I were really, everything was built around movies, around screenplays. We were very cinematic. The movie's very cinematic, the way it's paced, the tone. And we were nervous about even how to communicate with Chuck. So when Rob came in, Rob said, hey, this is what they need. Hey, knock it off. This is what he's needing. This is what you'll get. And this is the process. So in the background, when Joe and I are learning how to write for, the panels from Chuck, Rob's giving us a history lesson about the entire industry, about the background, about, hey, you don't want to do this, and how the flowing of the pages work. So, really, the lessons learned have been carried over to other projects, and we're also in the midst of doing volume 2 for Hunter Ninja Bear, which is going to be extremely graphic, very violent, and it becomes.
Is this the official announcement?
All day. So
Tom, is
awesome.
it the official announcement? Was that it?
Well, no, I guess it's official, but right now, Joe and I are putting the bows on it, and we're just trying to get a window for Chuck. But I don't want to say what it is, but it is fast, it's gruesome, and it is, it's what we always intended it to be. So remember, volume 1 is provenance means origin. So it's an origin story. So all this was 12 issues of getting from point A to point B, and that's Hunter Ninja Bear. We needed to get a Hunter Ninja Bear, and that's where we're at. So now the fun begins. So to us, the volume 1 was critical. So we wanted to get the characters built. So there was a little, equity in the characters of, heartstrings. But now it's fun. So volume 2 is going to be fun. Long story short, I'm repeating myself, but I'm very excited.
No. You know what? We love this. So we have some questions within the chat here. Just real quick. Spencer is drawing, so he's not on top of comments right now, guys. But I just want to say thank you to everyone that shows up. I can see that Pops is here, that Jay Desolate Soul Studios is here, that Snuggy Jr. is here, that Jason Unhinged is here. Let me see real quick. I'm trying to go up. Bobby Chrysopis is here.
Yeah.
He's new. I'm guessing he might be one of your peeps, Vaughn.
Yeah. Met him at a convention.
Wrestling Aces,
Yeah.
Crispy Jeb, and Mr. Von Stugel. So thank you guys for coming out to watch the interview. And yes, you guys want to back this book. And it looks like Jason did just back this book. So we have some comments. Let me go over them really quickly. So Bobby was saying, like, damn, learning to write comics from Chuck Dixon is like learning to hit from the ghosts of Ty Cobb.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. Took it for granted. That's funny. Hey, that's a great comment. He's right. I took it for granted. I'm making it seem like it's no big deal. But,
It's like
and Rob Hunter, man, you can't. I'll tell you what, that's a dynamic duo. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Rob. I never said thank you.
Mr. Von Stugel is saying, I haven't spent enough time on the throne yet to finish reading Hunt a Ninja Bear.
Understandable.
Well, hey, it is a big book, so hey, that's money well spent.
He's going to be there for a while.
Good use of time.
Jay Desolate Soul Studio wanted to know who penciled the book. And I'm assuming because I'm assuming it was Mel Ruby.
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
He's an artist.
His art is unreal.
Yeah, and just to point out is we hate a thing that Rob and I talked about this. Joe and I have hated our entire life is the covers always look really cool in the comic book store, and then you open up the comic book and then the art stinks. I hate it. It drives me nuts.
You're speaking to my soul right now because that is a major problem within the comic book industry.
Yeah,
that is a major problem going on now too. The variant covers are better than the main covers, and I'm sorry that is a problem. The main cover should always be the best looking cover, and the what is on the outside should match the interior. If it's not the same artist, then the artistic quality needs to be exactly the same. And there is a lack.
The same artist, and we have no variants. Variants drive me nuts too because definitely it's a good financial little for collectors. I know that it's neat. I mean, I don't want to poo-poo it, but for us, we wanted the same artist. There's everybody. The first printing will be the same as the last printing. No difference. So so we were pretty proud of the covers actually because it's the same artist. Mel did a beautiful job with the capturing each issue.
Yeah.
So I think the covers really don't get enough. Not enough, but we should point those out. The covers are actually beautiful.
They're like all movie posters. It's unreal.
Yes.
And then the movie posters, even more movie posters.
Yeah.
Which is even cooler.
I honestly would love to see just pencils and inks of this book or a behind the scenes of the book because of the artwork, just from the art point status. So maybe that's something consider on your next campaign.
That's
Black
like an unwrapped edition. I would love to see that.
That's neat.
Yeah, or just a making, if you added on like a making of that has notes in there that has your initial ideas. I'm someone, I love to see how everyone's mind works, how the processes are, the step-by-step things in between. I like to see when something's like all scratched out and, oh no, maybe that should be moved there. And I personally love that. I think there are a lot of people that do also love that as well. So just something to think about a little bit. So as I'm working through these comments here, Vaughn is going places. Definitely. I mean, I met Vaughn at a Comic-Con. Yep, I met Vaughn at a Comic-Con. He was looking for X-Men books, Claremont stuff. Yeah.
Always.
So I mean, he won me over instantly.
Yeah, that's me.
And that's when he was talking about what he was first working on. I'm like, oh, I got to keep my eye out on this. And I mean, I just think he is a great young man.
Thank you.
He has a lot going for him because he's very knowledgeable. Very knowledgeable.
Thank you.
So I mean, I was shocked when I saw like, oh wow, you're asking me about editing and you edited for Chuck Dixon. I was like, what?
Yeah.
So Yeah, I mean, this is just you guys have a great team behind it. And Rob, you have many years working in the industry. You work for the big two. You want to talk about some of that? Like, how did you end up with Phenom? Like,
is that how you tell me that I'm old? Many years. Many years.
I'm saying,
Many years.
Many weeks.
Look at it as like you're seasoned.
Oh,
You're legendary.
Yeah.
You know, you're a legend. You have legend
So,
status, you know.
I'll take the many years. I was my DC contract was ending, and Joe saw my stuff on Suicide Squad, so Tom.
Well, Joe did
Tom.
see it. Well, no, you're right. Joe did see it,
and then he showed it to you.
Yes.
Okay. So Tom, you sent me an email and then called me, and then we just started talking, and it just went from there. And, I said my contract was ending, and DC had been putting me on a bunch of cruddy books that were no fun to work on.
Were you happy?
Was I happy?
Were you happy in all honesty? Like, if you're working on cruddy books, right? Were you happy to work on something like fresh and new?
Oh yeah, especially because it really when you're working on super cool, the books that everybody's going to look at, whether it's Marvel or DC, especially when I was at DC, it's exciting and it's fun. Mm-hmm. But then when all of a sudden the books are not as exciting and as fun,
like
then you're just like,
for it.
Yeah, you're like, where's my, then it's just a page rate, and then then you're just looking at when's the royalty quarterly check show up. I still would always put 125% into any page, but there's that, you're not looking forward to the next project. You're just looking forward to working and paying the bills. And then Tom comes along and is like, hey man, I'm thinking I've got these projects that are all in like the beginning phases, and I'd like to do this as a comic book format, as a way to, pitch them to the world and show them to the world. And I'm like, you mean I get to help like mold and help influence and say like, this guy's awesome and this guy's great, and if we do it this way, or what do you think of this? Versus inking is, hey, would you like to work this month? This is the book, either take it or you can watch TV for the month. And that really is, yeah, there was a few times where they would give me choices, but it was always, even those choices, I could see how then they would maneuver me like, oh, well, you did a good job on this. And then they would offer me something completely different. Like, well, you guys work well together, but how would you work on this project? And there was never like, oh, you can stay on the open. The only time I had an option was I was inking Ed Bennis, and they're like, hey, Mark Bagley's coming in. Would you like to ink Mark? And I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. Then I'm like, do I have to stop inking Ed? And they're like, well, we'll just wait. He won't be able to keep up with Mark and ink Ed. And they were right. And then I had to just work over Mark. But usually there's no choices. There's just like, here's the book, or here's the penciler. The penciler likes your stuff, or, work or don't work. Those are your two options. So then to come in with Phenom and go, hey man, here's this insane, awesome script, but we want it to be a comic book. They're like, I'm like, dude, you're asking me? that hasn't happened. Even when I got the pencil on Suicide Squad, there was I found out how much more fun that was. Like, oh, I'm not just inking. I get to ink my pencils. And then Tom comes on and goes, hey, would you like to help choose and help with the direction of a company and put this stuff together? And I'm like, wait, I can do that. I can contribute in that manner. Like there was a deficit of working in comic books for so long and kind of getting bored and knowing, well, there's so much more out there, but I don't, so yeah, that was amazing. That was amazing to be able to help build stuff up and work with Tom really closely. Something that, I didn't think I'd ever be able to do that, so it's fantastic. Did I answer the question?
No, you did. You did. You answered it.
You did a good job. Don't doubt yourself.
No, don't. You're doing completely fine. All you guys are doing fine. You know, I'm very interested in everything that you guys have to say. And I appreciate anyone that comes on here and they're genuine and they're honest, and just seeing how passionate you guys are about this book and the stuff that you've worked on, and just learning about, you know, some of the stuff in the industry that I may not know as from, you know, it's just very interesting. So I take it, Tom, you and your brother were fans of comic books before you decided to do Phenom, right?
Without a doubt. But everything that we were sort of driven by were more screenplays.
So more the screenplays.
So a lot of that was sort of coming in. So we didn't understand the comic medium. We're definitely fans. I mean, both Rob and Vaughn know. I mean, probably Hush was probably my favorite. Everything was sort of modeled.
Everyone loves Hush.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, my first comic I ever read.
But Hush kind of got us in there. But with,
I said Hush was the first comic I ever read. Sorry, I didn't mean
Okay.
that.
Okay.
But Hush was fantastic, and Scott, we know Scott. Alex now is working with us, and we didn't meet Jim, but we got to pick from them too. So a lot of what I should go back is that we've got all these other projects going on, and one of them is Something Fierce, was our first actual book that we're going to get out. It's about 400 pages. It was banned by the Vatican. It's actually a great book.
Banned by the Vatican.
Wait, what?
So it's actually a great little book. So it's dark, but it's a great little story. So Rob actually did something. Rob did Star Rider. So Rob, doing Hunter Ninja Bear, was inking another Star Riders for it. So Rob's going back and forth, and we were trying to do this Something Fierce. And I want to say how great our teams were, where Rob is saying, hey, there's always work and everybody wants to work, but he saw what was going on with Ace Continuato's artwork on Something Fierce. And he's probably the first inker on earth to say, hey, I don't think these should be inked. You know, he kind of pulled back. Now that's 400 pages, and that's a lot of money taking off the table. And I said, Rob, I don't like the thickness. I don't like how it is. You know, we were going back just like friends do. Rob and I are friends, and we're just talking, going back. And at the end of the day, Rob said, just don't ink. And I thought that was where Phenom as a company changed, because then we realized that we had people that we could trust. Now, hey, Rob is taking money out of his pocketbook in a sense, because he's saying, hey, let's not ink these. So I thought that was neat. So we do have a phenomenal team, but we do have great stories coming up. But Rob's been involved in all of them. So, and then Vaughn will be too, but he's, I think, read Star Riders. But nothing else. We're sort of keeping everything else tight-lipped until we get Seven Deadly Sinners, which is another Chuck Dixon book. And then we have Star Riders coming up, which is a phenomenal book. So
what would you say Phenom is? If you had to describe Phenom as a company, what would you say?
I guess now we are a publisher, and that was never our intent. And there's a lot of drawbacks being a little publisher, because you don't, luckily we're distributed by a major company, and but we just don't have, if Image comes out, they can throw every book out there, whether it's good or not. And so we are trying. We're calling every comic book shop. We're reaching out. Vaughn set this up. We are trying to proclaim from the mountaintops that, hey, guys, we're a company, but we're going back old school. We don't care about anything else except for the story, and the stories are good. We're going back to the stories. The artwork's going to always be great. They're going to be printed on the best paper. They're going to be printed beautifully. They're going to be reasonably priced. But at the end of the day, no one talks about anything but the story. And that's what we're talking about today. Hunter Ninja Bear is a great story. No one's going to say, boy, the Reds popped, or boy, that boulder on page 9 really looked like a boulder. They are going to tell about the story. So Rob and Mel and Ivan, they help tell the story, but it all kind of boils down to what Chuck put down on paper. So I think we just have a good team because there's no egos. There really are no egos. And from that little story I said about Something Fierce, it just shows that even Rob pulled back. He goes, hey, Phenom, we got to make Phenom work, because Phenom's going to give everybody a voice. Just, you got young creators like Vaughn. Vaughn's got stories. We're going to be a voice for people. So I think Phenom is going to be that bullhorn on the mountaintop that says, hey, we're going to go after the big guys, because we're going to do what the big guys used to do. And that was tell good stories. And that's
they used to care.
Yeah.
Very true.
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying, I haven't picked up a good story in a long time.
I mean, I can tell you the best thing right now in shops, that is, from the big two, the best thing right now, it is Mark Silvestri's Batman book.
Is the new one out? The new one's out, right?
That is from the big two. That's the best thing recently I've read.
And he's been working on that for years.
7 years, 8 years, something like that. Oh, and I mean that
Yeah.
is
Just did it in like a weekend.
And that, so I just, I can't say there are other smaller companies that are putting out great stuff. I would say Aftershock, they have Graham Nolan putting out a book there. It was great. They, there's, the smaller press is doing better stories than the bigger too.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, small press doesn't get as much promotion or love.
Yeah.
Because it's the big two can afford to do more promotion and everything. But you guys are in previews for Diamond, I believe.
Right.
So that means really that I have to just go down to my shops and take the book and say, hey, this is a book. This is what you get if you buy this, and I urge anybody, and I tell everybody this, if you have a campaign and people have now made a deal with previews to get their book in the shop, because there are some people that they run their campaigns and they don't want to get into shops, or they, they're saying, like they feel like they're betraying or whatever. No, you want your book to get to every audience, or, grow your audience as large as you possibly can. So if you are someone that you have a local comic shop, you work and you're affiliated and people that run it, you want to bring your copy from which you backed, because the backers get their books first. All right. Mm-hmm. Don't do what Keanu Reeves did.
Oh, what did he do?
What did he do?
Ran a campaign, and then the book was in the shops before it was given out to the people that backed the campaign.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
And I love Keanu Reeves, but that's what happened with Berserker.
But that's not him. Is that the company?
Yeah, there's no way Keanu.
Boom. I think that Boom do it. Who did Berserker? I can't remember right now.
Boom.
But
it was Boom.
Whatever the case, it was a bad decision to do. And I guess they're saying, oh, well, I think it was the people that backed will get the trade. But you know what? The people are backing because of the story. So you want to give the people that backed their product first before you go to the shop route.
And to go on record, we heard that, and we did not do that. So Phenom Comic, these guys can have.
No, I have this book. I have it, so.
Yeah, we actually did make sure that all of our campaigns with Indiegogo and Kickstarter were completed, because that was great advertising for us. We actually had all the books printed. We were just trying to get the word out, and we had such great following that it was nice. But we're trying to get into bookstores, and being in Diamond's one thing, but it's also another thing is having the comic books purchase them from Diamond. So that's what we're learning. That's
why you got to have the people come into the shops with the book that have already read the book. Come in, show them this is a quality. I read this book here. Borrow my book. Take a look through it. Order a couple. See how it does.
Yeah.
And then if it does well, order more. Most comic shops that have a great comic book owner, though, are going to order a couple copies just because they want to be able to say that they have it.
Yeah.
And if your comic shop owner isn't like that, you got to talk to them and tell them there'll be another one out there that will do it. So, and that's just the game. Yeah. They don't want to be that shop that doesn't have the book and not having it because it's sold out, just not having it because they don't carry it.
I agree 110%.
So, I spent 11 years working in shops. I know the shop game. So let's see here. All right. I want to pull up the trailer for Hunter Ninja Bear.
Oh, wow.
Is that okay? Can I do that? I'm going to pull it up. Yeah. And then if there's anything else that you want to share, Tom, because that folder is massive. I don't know where to click. I don't know. I don't want to click on something I'm not supposed to see.
It's all good.
Yeah. What, And also, what's up, Ollie? Ollie from 656 Comics. They just had their book, The Kryptonals, go into previews as well too. So they're trying to do something similar.
Cool.
With their campaign. 656 Comics. They did a Kryptonals. It's called The Kryptonals. It's a horror kind of horror book. It's actually very good. It's about cryptids, and it puts a twist on it. Yeah.
That sounds familiar. I think I saw an ad.
You might have seen some of the art from it.
On Twitter.
You better not be working on it, Rob.
Imagine Rob doesn't know what he's working on.
Yeah, he's acting all incognito over here.
All right, I have to stop my camera
characters' names so.
Real quick because I have Comcast and my cable is horrible when I go to share videos. So give me 1 second. I have to pop off cam for 1 second. I'm still going to be here. You'll still hear me. I'm pretty loud. I'll mute myself when after the trailer. I'm going to present this. I'm going to share screen and make sure that I share tab audio. And then I already have the trailer pulled up.
That's awesome.
I'm going to make this full screen and then hit play. So let's see. All right. Here we go. Here's the trailer for Hunter Ninja Bear.
Wow. I always forget about how
What
good
a
the
trailer.
Little delay on it. Yeah.
It gives me chills every time. That trailer is amazing. So, Cecilia just said, just reached issue 12 of all this. All good so far. And there's going to be more. It was just kind of announced. There's going to be more. So it's Providence because it's book 1. So I don't know when we'll get another 12 issues, but they're working on it.
We're trying.
But we're going to get it. So how many books do you think you're going to release? Like 3? Are you going to do it like a trilogy?
We got 5 more in the pipeline.
5?
So yeah. So they're actually phenomenal books. So we got 5, and then we got 6 with Hunter Ninja Bear, and then hopefully we'll bring some more stories in. So, and then right now we're working on moving Hunter Ninja Bear onto the silver screen. So we are literally in talks with some people just trying to get that project moving. So we're pretty excited. So.
Filming that is moving, and I can expect that everything, all the casting, everything's going to be done like perfectly. Like,
well, we're trying. I mean, we're new, and trust me, this is just the beginning. We're trying because, as with everything, we did the graphic novel. Now we're trying to do this. So everything's on the beginning stages, but that's how you learn. So we've got a lot of good people. We're learning, and away we go. But Hunter Ninja Bear is what we had to come out with first because it's a solid story. It's a great team. It's everything that Phenom Comics was about. So we're thrilled. But trust me when I say there are some phenomenal stories coming up. So Hunter Ninja Bear, we love it. It's fantastic. It's what we needed to come out with first because it grabbed everyone's attention. But we don't go downhill from here.
So what can I show from this book here?
You can show everything, I guess.
Yeah, everything in the file, right? I would assume.
Everything in the file? All right.
So you're looking at the cover, and then you're saying the interior pages.
The interior
pages are almost the first 12 pages or something.
All right, so I guess I'm gonna start from page 5 because that's I think what people are gonna want to see from 5 to I think it's page 14 you have here. So yeah, it's the first 12 pages.
You could because that was part of the trailer. There are there's an additional.
Oh, should I go to that? The additional randoms?
Those are a little later in the book maybe it's a little more exciting.
Yeah, I'll pull some of those. Just let me know. All right, I'll show these. You got, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm just gonna show from the first one, and you tell me when to stop. Okay? How about that?
You're running the show. That is your call.
Yeah, but it's your project. I don't want to. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to. I never want to disrespect creators.
Yeah, there's nothing on there that is a spoiler.
All right, so I'm going to.
I don't think so.
No.
I'm going to hold on. I'm going to have to make this big when I go here, and you guys can talk a little bit about this.
I think, Tom, you missed one of her questions. I think Kayla asked, is Hunter Ninja Bear part of a trilogy?
Yeah, that's
is it like, because are you doing it like it's a trilogy?
Yeah, the story.
The story, because you were a film person before.
Yeah, and so it is a trilogy for sure.
Okay, because I was thinking that's how you were gonna probably do it, just because you have that film background you were saying and everything. Although I do believe, I own a couple books on storyboards, right? And I do think storyboards are really written out a lot like a comic script. Yeah. I really do. I mean, I could pull I have a Game of Thrones one right next to me, so I'm gonna pull that one out because that's the one that's the closest to me. But when I open this up and I look at this, I think of how I have tons of books everywhere, and then all my Amazon orders for Christmas and everything behind me. That's why my light's off right now. Spencer's Christmas present is behind me. I ripped it open. I didn't know it was coming today, so don't want to show him that. But let's see. Okay, so let's look here. This looks like thumbnails for a comic book script. This looks like an artist thumbnails for a comic book script. This is a storyboards from one of the episodes for season 1. And then what they did a little bit differently was they put at the beginning, or is that at the end, all the notes. So they did all of the notes here in between, or wherever the case, but there's notes in here and everything. So
no, that's neat.
Marvel actually tried to tell their artists a few years ago they wanted them to start drawing more like storyboards so that it would be easier to show the comic books to the movie studios. And some of the big time artists said, well, then you can start paying us like storyboard artists. So then they said, oh, okay, well, never mind.
So that's crazy to me, though. Yeah, that's crazy to me. I also think it's
storyboards are easier because I think the paneling within the comic books is one of the hardest things ever to write, is because when you're juggling, it's easy to storyboard and you see the guy juggling, but you need one image of the guy juggling or the woman juggling in a comic book. Where is it? As the ball's up, or you know what I mean? Kind of a hard. It's really sort of a hard medium to put your thoughts down to, and that's what Joe and I struggled with, because where do you what's the cool shot of the guy juggling? Right? It's sort of a hard thing to think of.
It's the first weakness you can spot in a new writer is they will ask for, in one panel, they'll ask for foreground, background, and middle ground, and they want expressions on all three of those, all the characters, whether in the background or they're in the foreground. They try to explain way too much in just one panel, and I try to explain that to Tom. I'm like,
I'm taking this kind of personally.
I'm like, I might have done that. I'm gonna go back in my scripts now.
Yeah, everybody does.
Keep it short. Keep it short and simple, and you also want to respect the artist and give the artist some creative freedom. I mean, you hired that artist for a reason, so you have to trust in who you hired. I don't think artists in general want to receive super detailed, constricting scripts that tell them step by step what they need to do their job.
No, then it's not creative. Then they're just drawing bots.
It's hard.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the first time, most of it was basically done by the time I got there, but I got to read the 12th issue in Chuck's, and it's so visual the way Chuck did it. I remember I was just like, oh, this is what a comic script looked like. And then I just started writing my own. I had my own ideas, and I had to have it open. I'm like, okay, that's it.
No, Chuck's Vaughn's right. We sent Chuck a Bible, and he whittled it down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was
the
incredible.
Hunter Ninja Bear script
Bible,
Bible,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, just what Chuck does, but that's what I'm saying is that the relationship between Chuck and Mel was incredible. And Vaughn was saying that he saw the one page of script and just knocks out the page, very simple, and then Mel explodes it, and it was pretty incredible. Where I think young writers, inexperienced like Joe and I, we were trying to just make that explosion. We were trying to control everything, just like what Rob is saying, control everything on that page. And number one, no one's going to get in your mind's eye. They're going to read all this. And they're going to get bored because they don't know what you're trying to talk. They're not trying to. They'll never grasp the majesty of what's in your head. And so I keep going back to a learning experience. It was such a learning experience with seeing Chuck and Mel work, and then with Rob in the background telling me to be quiet, just let the professionals do their job.
Mel, when I worked with Mel on Excalibur, that if we had worked on a good story, we would have never been able to get Mel now. Because Mel was so good, even back then, he was so amazing, and all he's done is he has gotten better. But because the comic books can be so often, it can be about timing.
Yeah.
We all can go in different directions. That like I told Mel, I go, dude, you were kicking so much ass on Excalibur, and the story was so shitty and so bad. I go, can you imagine if they just threw all the X-Men villains in your run? I go, we wouldn't be able to have gotten you. You would be working on, some huge book, and you'd be like, well, you can send me the script and I'll take a look at it. And, it's just that's comics. That's the craziness of comics. So like people like, who's Mel Ruby? And I'm like, dude, Mel is one of the most, he's the guy that a lot of people don't recognize. Even Rob Hunter. They're like, people are like, did you do some DC stuff? Like but Mel is one of those talents that just, I can't even imagine where Mel's going to be in 2 years. He's going to be negotiating for Hunter Ninja Bear 3.
Yeah. Well, and because Mel had an idea of a superhero, because Phenom Comics does have a superhero, but we were waiting for the back end. So we haven't really done it yet, but we will. So Mel, this is years ago, Mel had an idea for a superhero. So we were working on Mel's Van Brays. So with Hunter Ninja Volume 2 and Mel Ruby's Van Brays, we've got 2 Ruby projects coming up.
And it's cool.
Yeah.
The artwork I've seen is awesome.
Oh, yeah. He's been plugging it. It's
I remember hearing that you guys are like, yeah, Mel has a cool superhero idea he's pitching to us. And then next thing I see it, like months later or however long.
Yeah.
I can't believe people wouldn't know who Mel is just from the Red Sonja stuff. And I think Mel did some Game of Thrones stuff I own.
Yeah, he did a big run. Yeah.
Right after
I own, like, I'm a big Game of Thrones nerd. Like I am. I love Game of Thrones. Not so much the last season, but the books. I'm a huge fan of the books, and I have like all of the graphic novels that go to the books. I have the single issues. And I believe Mel Ruby worked on those. And Red Sonja.
Yeah, I think.
And I think a Witchblade, some kind of Witchblade crossover too, if I can remember. It was like, was it Witchblade versus Alien or something? I can't remember off the top of my head now.
I know right after I read Hunter Ninja Bear, I seeked out and I was like, I saw this and I just immediately grabbed it. It was so good.
Yeah, but Mel had said that the one thing that Phenom did offer him was to let him, because we're always backgrounds. We want detail. And Mel had full reign. So I think Phenom was a good fit for Mel, is because Mel could take his time. We were never under time schedules or constraints. So Mel could just sit there and just rip out beautiful artwork. So I think Hunter Ninja Bear and this is not just because it's Hunter Ninja Bear, but I think it's one of the breakthrough projects for him. Or if not the breakthrough, because he just got to do Mel Ruby for the first time. It was Mel.
You can always tell when someone is really, I think by far Hunter Ninja Bear is his best work, to be honest. That's just my honest opinion. He's a great artist, but there's more. And it's also too, probably because all of you as a team, you all mesh really well together. So that also says a lot too. It speaks volumes. It's one thing I think. I mean, I can't speak for Mel. Mel's not here or anything, but the chemistry between everybody that is working on a project together, when that occurs, I think everything just,
Mhm.
Yeah,
goes like
it's
this.
true.
I mean, and Rob, didn't Rob, you worked on some Green Lantern stuff, I believe, that I own as well too. I believe. Yeah.
Did you pick up any of the Red Lantern where nothing happened? Because I worked on 6 issues of that, and then Then I jumped over to Green Lantern because I'm like, oh my
Yeah,
God.
didn't you do some Blackest Night stuff though? I swear to God,
Yeah,
I mean, maybe I'm
because
losing my
Justice
mind.
League stuff. Yeah. Justice League to Red Lantern to Green Lantern. Yeah, Red Lantern was going to be huge, and then the Green Lantern movie came out. And they're like, "Hey, Rob, you want to do Green Lantern after the Green Lantern movie comes out?" And I'm like, "Well, there's a bunch of Green Lantern fans in the comics, so yeah, I'll do Green Lantern, but I don't want to. But if that's my only option, this is the option."
I feel like there was another one too. You did too.
Rand Thanagar Holy War.
Yes,
with
Holy War.
Thanos.
Thank you. Yes, I was going to say it's like very
Yeah.
celestial type of
Yes.
stuff as well. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
Lost
Was
Among
that Starlin?
the Stars
Yeah,
was one of the
dude. Mm-hmm.
no, issue 6. Yes, Lost Among the Stars is one of the ones that really sticks out to me.
That was at DC. That was probably some of my most fun. That was probably, I had so much fun working with Ron Lim and Jim Starlin on that project.
Yeah,
So,
I was gonna say. I mean,
Yeah.
Starlin. I mean,
yeah.
it's just
fun.
there's a particular. There's just like a particular like anything that he has done, even from like the Marvel stuff, everything. I mean, it's Starlin. So.
Mhm.
You worked with so many big writers, Rob. After this, I'm gonna have to pick your brain to like, all right, what do I do? What did they do? I
Oh,
gotta
but
figure
that's
that
the thing. They don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Jim's stories. Jim is a very straightforward. Like, hey, Rob, did you get that cover? And I'm like, where'd you send it to? And he'll tell me. I'm like, dude, that was my apartment a year ago. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna have to redraw that cover because it's sitting in front of your old apartment. So he'll just be like, all right, I'll talk to you later. The only stories he ever told me was he told me the Marvel story where when he started talking about doing Thanos again.
Yeah.
And this is before the movie. This is before Avengers. He starts calling up editors and saying, hey, I'm thinking about doing Thanos. I think it'd be a good time to do some Thanos story stuff. And they're like, no, it's not really a good time.
No.
Yeah, they said it wasn't a good time. So
Are you kidding me?
I would have picked it up.
They said no to Jim. What?
Wait.
What?
So
Who are these editors?
No, wait. There's a reason. He did that twice, and he said that the response from the editors was so weird that then him and his lawyer contacted Marvel to find out what's up. Marvel, when they moved offices, they lost the paperwork where he signed off on Thanos. So Disney and Avengers were making Thanos the #1 villain for those first 3 phases, and they technically didn't have the paperwork that says that he signed off all of his creator rights.
Oh my God.
Are you kidding me?
So they were afraid to even talk to him or about Thanos or anything.
That
said,
is insane.
Wow.
To me.
And their first offer for Thanos was he said him and his lawyer laughed at the offer. So
wow,
that is insane. I mean, Jim, so I always think of, the death of Captain Marvel. I think of everything,
killing
the Infinity
Jason Todd.
Conflict, Warlock, the Adam Warlock,
Death in the Family.
Red Star.
Yeah.
Jim Starlin, like the Infinity Gauntlet, like, oh my God.
And they were scared of him. They were scared of Jim because
They should have been.
Because he's had so much success, he can hire a lawyer. And he did. And him and his lawyer showed up at Marvel's office.
I know a lot of people loved the Infinity Wars and everything, but to me, I was disappointed because I was someone that read the comics, and I remember there was a scene like, oh, is there anybody else? I'm like, there's no Fantastic Four, there's no X-Men, there's Adam Warlock. He needs to burst out of the soul gem, because I went and saw it with my dad. We still, I'm 33, and me and my father, we still go see the superhero movies, and Some of them we really enjoy. Others we sit and bitch through. Dark Phoenix, horrible.
Oh, it's so bad.
We both looked at each other and we were like, "This is bad." But we enjoyed it, but we still we wanted Jim Starlin's Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War, and we wanted Adam Warlock. And
what about the anti-Adam Warlock? The spin-off after Infinity Gauntlet. Can you imagine if Marvel did that instead of just saying, "Oh, no more Thanos. We're gonna shit on the Infinity Stones and all that stuff"? They literally could have done that as Phase 4 or Phase 5, Phase 4. Yeah, Phase 4.
It could, anything, and I think too, there's so much they could have done. I can't even get into that stuff. All right, I'm pulling up the. That's I can't even believe that. That's crazy. Wow, they did it to Jim Starlin. That is the craziest thing I have heard. One of the craziest things I have heard about the industry, with a creator. You would think, I'm mind blown by that. You just blew my mind completely.
Wow,
it's the only big story you ever shared with me. So,
oh my goodness,
I always have that on the
all right. I'm pulling up
Hunter Ninja Bear art.
I'm pulling this up right now. I'm going to the Hunter Ninja Bear art. I'm going to put this on full screen, and I think if I click, is this showing up good?
Wow.
Yeah, that looks great.
All right.
That might be my favorite one. I don't know.
Yeah, this is a cover for the 3rd issue, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is it Tom? I can't remember.
That's issue 3. Yeah.
Just because I see it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to give me 1 second. I gotta take myself off for a second so we can look at this because my computer's lagging on my end. So hold on. Oops.
Well, that's fun.
Hold on. It's me. I gotta go back to present. I gotta stop my own camera. We're gonna look at art because the focus is on the art and on the book. We don't need to look at me. We need to look at this. This is kind of all right. Here we go. Back to sharing it. And I can make this larger, I believe, too. So let's see how this goes.
Hello, Joe.
It. Or does that? Oh, wait. Full screen it? No, that didn't work. All right. I guess this is what it's going to be.
There's a plus sign.
Well, hit the plus.
Yeah, there's a plus. Zoom in. It takes it to 25. Is that too large, though? Or
maybe. It gives a little nice blurb to it.
Zoom to fit. I guess it stays like this.
Yeah.
So I don't want it to blur. I want people to be able to see this. I mean, this is such.
Look at those colors. Ivan.
Fantastic.
Yes, this is just. This is a gorgeous book, and you know what I love too, that even though this book is so well written, the artwork it's great storytelling through the art as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I think is so important in comics. You can tell a great comic book not only because of a well-written story, but also the storytelling within the art, and that is what was done phenomenally. I mean, how did you feel inking all of this, Rob?
It was, to be honest, it was great working with Mel again, because Mel was a super cool guy to work with years ago, and then to be able to work with him on this, and especially doing it at Phenom, it really was it was a pleasure. It wasn't just like, oh, here's my page rate, let me pay the bills. It was like, well, this is something special, and you kind of knew it. I like, you get caught up in the artwork, inking over the pencils, but when I would see the colors, and then I would then see the dialogue, that's when I'm like, oh wow, this is something special.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is just gorgeous. The colors are amazing too. And I loved too, just like, I'm trying to think of what this color palette is. It goes from, it's not necessarily muted colors. To me, this is like fantasy type colors. This is colors that I would expect to see like in like Conan the Barbarian almost. And then it goes to these really intense, like for the action scenes, some really intense colors. I love it. And it works beautifully. So
the fires are so pretty, like the way they light everything.
Yeah,
I love the body portion, everything. And I don't think anything is like done cheap about that. Even like this negative, like the colorist here, this negative space, this is great use of the negative space at the top. And then we have the detail of the background here with your characters here in the forefront. I mean, it's gorgeous work. So I had zero complaints about this book. Like I said, this is definitely, like, if I had to narrow down like my books of the year, this is definitely in my top 5.
Oh, thank you.
I just, you know, and I love too, the women are beautifully drawn in this book as well too. I love, so many people are afraid to draw attractive women nowadays. I don't know why, but
Mel came out of Wildstorm Studios, so
Yeah.
if there's one thing he learned from Jim Lee, it was to draw beautiful women.
Yeah.
He learned a lot from Jim.
Oh, this
He
one.
never
This is-
forgot that.
Yeah, and this is one of the pages that Vaughn had actually introduced to
Yeah.
the book. So,
really, Vaughn?
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, like without spoiling any details, there was a point in the story where they're on a boat for a long period of time, and Tom had told me some ideas for what was going to happen later. And as a writer, I'm just kind of like, because writing is always just like to connecting this. So it was like, okay, why don't we add a training sequence here so we can later on. I remember that.
Justify her. Yeah.
Her.
That was a fantastic idea, and we went right with it. And then
I remember freaking out when I got the revised version. I was like, "Oh my god, my idea made it!"
No,
my scene made it, right? Like,
Yeah, I was freaking out. It was really cool.
No, it was a great fill, and it really was a void. That's what I was mentioning, where you had two sets of eyes looking at it for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It was, and then just even zooming in, Taylor
I wish I could pull
Esposito.
it down, but it doesn't let me. But I'm going to zoom in because it just is some really pretty details. Like, all right, so what I see here on the face here, what I see here on the stick here, there's a lot of really good details on the faces and everything.
Oh, wow.
The hair, I'm a big hair person. I love well done hair.
And I love his faces too.
Yes, the eyes. I'm a big eye person as well. Just all these lines and everything. So you would never think, like, I also love too that the colorist did not cover up these little cross hatches and everything. I love that's a sign of a great colorist to me, that you can see the detail still. So there's even all the detail in the wood in the ship, but it won't let me pull this like down. So
no, that's a great, Kayla, you're bringing up great points. I'll tell you, because those are the things that we actually had conversations about. It's actually fun hearing you say what you're saying, because even the lighting, where I've got sort of my points that I love Ivan's color, the shadows, even off the face, and even in the water, the reflective portions of water. And then even the little panels, and this is what Mel did was, I was like watching, like, let's say Hush, and Catwoman's like this little thing in the corner that it took you 20 times to read the book, and you finally saw her in the corner. And so we have those little nuances too. We have the little, the beautiful pages, the beautiful coloring, the beautiful inking. But I was also mentioning the lettering. Taylor Esposito, who is our letterer, no one talks about lettering really that much. But
lettering is important. Good lettering is definitely important.
Yeah, and just these pages that Taylor did such a beautiful job, that Chuck had mentioned this before, is that you don't notice the letter, and that's their job. And I think Taylor's biggest attribute is that he just kind of tells the story, and we're not saying that this lettering is taking up too much of the artwork. And,
no, it's not.
Yeah, so I think that's something, I just want to point out.
I'll be right back.
Well, definitely, you'll always notice a bad lettering job.
No.
You'll definitely, it's very odd. People always notice a bad lettering job over a great lettering job first. For some reason, it's
the same with sound in film. Sound is like, if you mess up recording sound, everyone hates you. But if you do it right, it's like, okay, you did your job. It's kind of like that.
That's it. Yeah.
And the lighting too, like, because you can see where the light source is coming from and the shadowing here. I mean, this is all done so beautifully. I just wish that I could pull this image down, but it doesn't let me. But you see the lighting here. This is from the lantern light source here in the back. And then you have this shadow here, like how it's like silhouetting almost here, which I love, a good silhouetting or a good shadow that is mimicking silhouetting.
Right.
And the body proportions are amazing. Everything is just great about this book. I can't say enough about it. It's amazing. So
And even then, the fact that it was just, this is an idea I threw out, and then all that detail, I was just like, yeah, maybe just have like a panel or something. And it was just, no, they go extra, and they 1,000% every time, like you give them any idea, like these guys would go and make it a million times better than whatever.
Wow.
It was
It's a great idea. And even
look at
those
this again
pages,
with the
and
light
even-
source.
Yeah, and then even Rob inking. I never understood the power of a great inker until I realized it, or until you see it, because the colors pop. If you don't have those blacks in there, and if the colorist doesn't know where the lighting sources are, or if you don't put tones on the faces, everything gets lost. And I think Rob, this is a beautiful page to show kind of where Rob was coming in.
It is gorgeous.
It's a gorgeous page.
It is gorgeous.
Oh.
Did Rob get back? Rob's back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah.
Like, Rob, right? I have a question for you. What is
Okay.
your inking style? Like, did you ink this like digitally? Did you do this traditionally? What did you do?
Yeah, screw digital inks. I am the traditional brush pen nib, 102 pen nib.
Oh, wow.
Whatever works. When French curve and the pen nib. I have the sore back to prove it, but yeah, I'm doing it all traditional. Mel actually pencils. He now pencils digitally, so I would just blue line and ink his blue lines. So it's
How long would it take you
I
to do something like this? Like,
I always spend way too long on every page, to be honest.
Good answer.
That's been my career the whole time.
no, people want to know though.
I've done live streams with Art T-Bear, and he always laughs at me. He's like, well, that would explain some of the bumps in the road, right, Rob? And I'm like, yes, that does explain the bumps in the road. So,
Hey, Rob, just for scheduling reasons, exactly how long does that take you to?
Yeah.
It takes a day. It takes obviously you can see some of the Mel's pages that, probably took 6 hours. And then there's other pages that, because I would work on a couple pages at the same time and be like, I'll finish both these pages in 2 days. And then, day 3, I'm still working on the same 2 pages, and I'm going, So it just depends.
See, there are things that it's just, this is so gorgeous to me. I'm sorry.
That's a beautiful page. Yeah.
I love that
even
page.
like, look at, even on the, all right. So your colorist is phenomenal. I mean, look at on the thigh here. See this shadowy right on the center of the character on the right thigh. It's gorgeous. That really, really shows off the body proportion, the curves of her thigh really well, and then how the light source is at the top. This almost reads through like a movie in a way. So
yeah.
Ivan is a superstar, and you can tell that he enhances the storytelling with his color, which is what you hope every colorist will do. And he enhances the artwork. I mean, you look at the artwork, and it's so much more 3-dimensional after Ivan is finished with it, which is what you hope colorists will do. But he is. I always would tell Tom, I go, there's 2 types of colorists. There's the guy who learned how to use Adobe, and then there's the colorist who actually is an artist. And Ivan is one of those guys. He's the guy who actually he's enhancing the page. He's not just coloring it and collecting a page rate. And that's what's so great about this book is everybody. It was almost like a competition, because everybody would work harder and harder. Like, you get the pencils, and then I'd try to make the pencils better with the inks, and then Ivan would get the inks, and he would try to make the page better than the inks. We were all trying to keep up with what the amazing story, and it was just kind of it adds up. It's a cumulative effect of everybody just wants to do an awesome job, and everybody wants to keep up with the amazing story that it starts with.
And a funny aspect of the process was that Joe and I have only read stories our entire life when they're in the final, book, the final form. So when we're going through the pencils and the inks, we didn't really have too much to say until we saw the colors, because then we could dig into, hey, we like that. So all of our personal editing went backwards once it was colored from Ivan, because then we could see, hey, this and that, and this doesn't jive. we could not analyze the pages very well when they were just penciled or inked. We just weren't that sophisticated. We just didn't, we couldn't process what Mel's penciled, what Rob's inks until Ivan came in and threw the colors on them. It was a very, we were learning.
I mean,
So.
this is the firework is incredible. Like just everything that he did. I mean, this is like coming out at you. That is absolutely gorgeous. I can't say enough. You guys all as a team, this is phenomenal work. This is grade A phenomenal work. And then the quality of the book, when you get the book and you hold it in your hand, I mean, you didn't cut short on anything. Like
no, he didn't. I would
No.
yell at Tom sometimes too.
yeah.
I'm like, dude, it's a comic book. Come on, man, let's move on.
Yeah,
Nope.
well,
Yeah.
Perfection.
that's our baby.
You guys set the bar so hard. This is the first comic book I ever worked on. You spoiled me. I'm like, this is the highest bar.
No, Vaughn,
like-
you're right. You're right.
You're after
It's,
bar.
Yeah, I know exactly. It's like,
Well,
put me
we
like
were
the most
supposed to.
prolific writer ever.
We were spoiled too. We
Yeah.
really were. They literally were a machine. It was literally.
It's a well-oiled machine.
Oh my
Yeah,
god,
it was incredible how it just went through, and the pages just were ripping off just, like an assembly line. Yeah, this is one of my favorite. If you go back,
let me go
I'm
back.
sorry.
There we go.
If you
Yeah.
go
Oh,
back,
that one's beautiful.
that is
It is
one of my
gorgeous.
favorite pages, or it's a cover.
Let me
But
zoom a little more here. I'm going to zoom in a lot more so people can see. I know
love
I'm cutting off a little bit
Contrast
of the
between
bottom.
this and the one before it too. Works with again, it communicates the story, but you have like the wintry and then the fiery.
yeah, this just goes down as I thought Mel's covers at the tail end just got stronger and stronger, and when I saw this cover colored, it blew my mind. And then I like the way that we put the title behind it.
Yes.
It didn't take away from the imagery.
No, it didn't at all. So I think for every comic book cover that you did, the title was well placed on it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 3 is
Title-
like 2. The cover to 3 is that way. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Let me find it.
Yeah, it is. And 3 it is.
Yeah, I like it when they do that. It's a nice change of pace.
Yeah,
I mean-
we thought it was neat because we didn't want to get in front of the
Oh,
the
that's
art.
right.
Yeah, the temple and the bear. It's the bear's in front of the title in issue 3, I think.
And I love this too here.
Yeah, that's a great page.
That one's. I remember seeing that because I had read the script and I didn't see it until when I saw it. It was just like Chuck's writing is so visual and it was just perfect the way it was brought to life. It was so crazy.
Yeah, and this is one of the pages that Chuck, Joe, and myself went over. This is kind of odd, but this is one of the pages that we sort of that third panel when it's almost humorous. And I don't want to do it because I don't want to tell the story. This is one of the pages that we should maybe show, but
That was under the too.
yeah.
I'm gonna X out. Hold on.
Yeah.
You stop
Oh, no,
sharing.
that's yeah, but
No,
because it just gets to the final. But
It's still
that
out of
one we didn't know whether to introduce something sort of funny. There is a sense of shock and
There is a sense
lightness.
of shock and like awe in there.
Yeah.
Where the heck did this concept come from? Like, how did you and your brother come up with this whole idea of hunter, ninja, bear? Like in general.
And it wasn't ours. Hunter Ninja Bear is just really built off the principles of rock, paper, scissors. And so we had, I'm trying to think of the darn movie. God, it's actually a good little horror movie. And we saw it in there because what they were doing instead of rock, paper, scissors, they were doing hunter, ninja, bear. And it just struck us funny. Wow, that is kind of neat. Hunter, ninja, bear. And so we started saying, well, what if we came up with a story that it followed the rules? Hunter, beats the bear beats the ninja, and so on. And if you go through Hunter Ninja Bear, even though it's not that clearly defined, it does hold to those rules, even to the bitter end. Hunter, ninja, bear.
Mhm.
So once we saw that, it was just one of those things that stick in your craw, and maybe that's to these younger artists and these writers. Is this took Joe and I a long time to kind of knock out. We were at this a while, and when the timing was right, then we kind of rolled with it. But this was something that was just sort of in our brain, and it just wouldn't let go. And so like I said, we got all the influences. God bless you, Rob, with
Bless
the
you.
samurai movies, the
Bless you.
westerns, and it was the perfect story to take some of the things we love. It really, it was a perfect vehicle for some of our favorite types of movies. But that's it. Rock, paper, scissors. That's it in a nutshell.
I remember when he told me that, I was like mostly done editing it, and I was like, rock, paper, scissors. He just explained to me. I was like, it's so simple. I had never. I mean, the fact that you can come up with that again, something so simple, just rock, paper, scissors, and make it.
Is it ninja? So wait, Hunter beats. Wait, what are the rules? I need to know.
Here, hold on, Kayla. Just flip to the back page. See if you got the book.
Mm-hmm.
Did I miss something? Like,
I get that more times than not. So the back cover.
Yep. Okay, right. Here we go.
Then it says
Hunter beats bear, ninja beats hunter, bear beat. You know what? I didn't even read the back cover to the book. I just went and read the book. Is that bad? I didn't even.
It's
that.
Isn't it
cool story?
Ninja beats hunter, bear beats ninja.
Yeah, but that's what kind of neat stories are about. When you kind of go back and you learn more about the story, then and because it really holds to those rules.
I mean, the pacing in the book is just done so well. This is a book, like, once you start reading it, I mean, I read through this. I'm a pretty fast reader. I read through this when I first got this in. I read through this completely on my lunch break. I couldn't stop reading it. And then I went back and read it more at night. And then I showed my father some of this, and he definitely wants to read it, but he just he's having some vision problems, and he had to receive a shot in his eye. So we have to wait for his eye to heal a little bit before he gets to read some comics. But also the good thing about it is that the print is he can see the print with the color. So a lot of times he's been like kind of bummed out because it seems like he can't read the comics with color right now because his eye, but it's like a perfect
contrast.
Yeah, it's like a perfect contrast, and just even the size isn't too small either for him. So he's gonna love this when he reads this because he likes the whole hunter aspect. He loves ninja stuff, and he loves bears. Bears are his thing. His favorite thing in the world is bears, grizzly bears. So I showed him, I'm like, Dad, look, it's hunters, ninjas, bears. And he's like, what? And I showed him, I'm like, look, there's a big bear. And he's like, oh, that's cool. So, but he just got his another shot this week. So it's going to be a little bit.
Well, our thoughts and prayers are definitely with him, and hope he recovers quickly. And I wish I would have taken Rob's advice. Rob wanted to do one of the 11x17 books, the actual artboard, and that would have been perfect for him. So now I'm kicking myself.
No,
Rob,
you know what? You should definitely, for your next campaign, that's something that you can definitely add on. You can add that on with some black and some just the inks and pencil stuff and some process stuff in one book. You can like it's an artist edition or something,
That'd be great, Rob. Think about it. We would have it just inks, and then because people could really kind of see it.
Yeah, steal my stuff. Great. Keep it secret.
Is it stealing or is it flattery?
When they steal my stuff, it's stealing. When I look at Art T-Bear and all the other guys and Jim Lee, and then it's just flat.
It's open season.
Yeah, it's just flattery.
Yeah.
And Rob, you're working on a project too. I mean, we'll get back to Hunter Ninja Bear in a second, but I want to pull up. You're working on a project as well right now.
Yes.
Yep. A little bit about that before I pull up the trailer for that. And
I had so much fun at Phenom that I realized that the creating side, creating a property, building and molding and all that stuff, that I was like, I think it's time to do my own book. So I came up with Deth Raider, and I'm a big fan of the military shows. My wife and I, we watch, SEAL Team, and I even watched that. Did you ever watch? It was called Six or something on the History Channel. They did SEAL Team before David Boreanaz did SEAL Team, but it was a kind of a show that you could watch on fast forward when they would go home with their family. Like, fast forward, let's get to the action scenes again. But so it's a Marine, Marsoc Marine Raider, gets injured, and he gets effed up, and his team gets ambushed. They're killed. He's all messed up, and because of the circumstances of the ambush, he kind of builds out. He builds on an armor. So it's very. My big influences have always been Iron Man, Batman, and Wolverine. So you'll see some of them. There's those flavors that are mixed into Deth Raider. And it's a very cyberpunk story. It's a real chase run story. Like they're on the run trying to find, and there you go. And there's a trailer.
Yep, so. I'm gonna play it. Sweet. I'm gonna stop my camera, not the screen. I'm not gonna make that mistake again. I'm gonna make sure I have the sound on. And right now you're doing signups. You're in the sign up phase for this book. So if you sign up right now, there's a trading card with every order on sign up. So you can sign up. You can find this on Indiegogo right now.
Yep. And I shared the black and white artwork for the trading card. So people have gotten a preview of the trading card.
That's awesome.
I mean, this is crazy detailed. And you're writing this and you're inking and
I'm doing it.
You're coloring too?
No, I'm not coloring it though. Pixel Tool has been coloring all the promo pieces, and hopefully he'll be on board because he really he is adding like that the missing flavor to the project. So he'll be doing the coloring, and my wife is fantastic. She is a stickler for grammar, so she will be my editor. Grammar assist, so writing assist. So
all right, I'm gonna play this trailer. Hold on, let me stop my camera. I'm gonna play this trailer real quick. I'll make it full screen, and we're gonna take a look at Deth Raider from Rob Hunter. And this is your fast-paced superhero action adventure origin story launching the Deathverse. All right, let's go.
I'm taking shots at the enemy. I'm gonna make it to the top, leave a legacy. If I got something to say, you better let me speak. Turn it up a new degree, bitch, you ain't seen anything. I pop off with the new rock, electronic, blow the sonic roof up. I'm too honest when I take a few shots. They're too toxic, need to take the new song. You cannot save me, 'cause I don't need saving. It's everything I've been chasing, all here for the taking. Don't wanna test your luck with me, I think I've had enough to see.
There we go.
Thank you very much.
That is the Deth Raider. So, and you're going to continue doing stuff at Phenom as well. You're going to have a busy schedule.
Oh, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy busy, but it really shouldn't be too much of a problem because for Deth Raider, I'm already 20 pages in, so wow. 80 to go, which is it goes easier every week. I realize some of the things like, oh, don't do that, do this. It's the art process. It's a constant learning, and thankfully, to be honest, because of Phenom and everything I learned at Phenom, and then some of the time since, I've been able to work on my art for like the last couple of years while working at Phenom, and then even when I was just working on my own stuff, where I kind of took my stuff to the the next degree with style and art. And I've always Tom's seen some of my other stuff where it's, there's always a lot of rendering, there's a lot of black, and I'm a big fan of the blockbuster. But a blockbuster story with a story. We all watch those summer movies, and the trailers make them look like, oh, this is so exciting, this is gonna be amazing, and then you're just like, oh, there's no story.
The best part was in the commercial.
Yeah,
the best part was in the commercial.
Yeah, the best part was the commercial. Like, you realize, like, oh, the most talented person in this movie was the editor of the trailer. So you're just like,
or comedy movies where they put all the funniest parts in the trailer, so there's just no jokes in the movie.
What's even worse is when there's pieces in the trailer that don't even make it to
The Amazing Spider-Man 2, half the trailers were just plot points that don't even appear in the movie.
Exactly. Yeah, the shots with all the sinister villains, or whatever their names are, like, that is the very end of the movie, and the whole movie I'm waiting going, where's all the shots with the villains, the Green Goblin, all those guys, and you're like, wait, it's the very last shot.
The last shot was in the trailer too. The last shot of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a big epic blockbuster, but with a story. Because without a story, I might as well just be going from con to con and drawing, Wolverine for people. And I don't want to do that. So.
Yeah, you want to do something you're really passionate about,
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say, all of you, what would you say was your biggest learning experience from running the Hunter Ninja Bear campaign? I mean, it was your first campaign, Tom, right? So you're running. What was like your biggest learning experience? What was like the peak? Was there any pitfalls? I want to know the nitty gritty stuff.
Oh, for the campaign itself?
Yeah.
The campaign?
I'd say we had jumped on Kickstarter first and then went Indiegogo. So by doing that, we didn't know that there were just these two factions that didn't mesh well at some point. Some people were really pro Indiegogo, some people were pro Kickstarter. We just picked Kickstarter just because it was an easier, their front end for developers and for publishers are just easier. When I looked at the two, it was just a little more robust of a software tool. And that's it. That's the only thing that really drove me to Kickstarter. But it was really the support, but just like everything else, just what you're doing, Kayla, for us. This makes or breaks all these independent, all these new and upcoming companies and projects, is that if we don't have the people saying the nice things, I mean, just what you've done and the following that you've put together over the years, it helps us. So we want to say thank you, because with the Kickstarter, the Indiegogo, we were trying to get that. That's all we were trying to get, was to get your attention, you personally, right? And I think the biggest part that I learned was that there's so many people from different aspects of the world that kind of like this. You always think that the stories are sort of in a confine of our realm, that it's just, me and my brother are talking in a room. But then when it expands and you see people from New Zealand, or you see people from, there was someone from South Korea, you get these people, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, okay, this is neat. The world has officially shrunk. And I think that's what the campaigns maybe opened our eyes, is that this world isn't that big. Now we're a small speck. We're a little minnow in the ocean, but it's not infinite space. At least it's a contained unit of ocean that now we can dig into. And so the campaigns really helped us shrink our view of the world, if that makes any sense.
That actually was very beautiful how you worded all of that. That was like almost poetic. That was
thank you. And thank you. And if I would have given it to Chuck would have whittled that down to 2 words. So
yeah.
How about for you, Rob?
I've learned that there's I have 2 jobs now. I have Deth Raider, creating Deth Raider, and promoting Deth Raider, and that the live streaming and the interviews and all that stuff, like, without that, then I better be independently wealthy, because no one would ever see Deth Raider. you know. And to be honest, if I was independently wealthy, you know, I would be just drawing a couple Deth Raider pinups and hanging out with my cats and my wife. You know, honestly, you know,
I love the honesty.
I love comic books. But comic books are, if I had to pick a job, which I had to, and I did, I picked
cool
comic
job.
book. Yeah, so I picked comic books. So for a job, I couldn't pick anything cooler than that, and I have a lot of fun with it. But yeah, it's two jobs, man. It's the YouTube and the Twitter and the live stream, and then it's actually working on the project and creating the project. But everybody told me ahead of time. So I mean, that's the thing about the live streaming and Comicsgate and everybody's been very straightforward and very upfront. Like, dude, this is two jobs. Get ready for it. If you think, you think you're going to produce 5 to 8 pages a week, no. This is what you're going to do. You're going to live stream 5 to 8 times a week, and you're going to do 2 to 3 solid pages. And I'm like, what? Nah. So that is probably the biggest thing I've learned about the campaign. And every time I see my trailer, I realize I should have shot Jimmy Reyes art, more of the artwork. So because I always go, oh man, there's all these pages I could have sent them. So that's the other thing I've learned with this campaign right now. So there will be a second trailer with more preview of the artwork. That's for sure. So.
Hey, that's keeping it real, you know, and everyone respects realness. Because I think that, you know, when someone can see the creator is genuine, especially not only genuine, but passionate about what they're doing. And, you know, even if you have a little bump in the road and you are transparent about it, you know, that is what is going to make people, you know, come to you because you're a real person. You know, at least for me, I respect transparency. I respect when someone has a flaw in something and they said, oh yeah, this is flawed. I could have done this better. Or, you know, this here, yeah, I had to redo this because, you know, this was what's wrong with this or whatever the case, you know, a lot of people respect that. It's just all about the communication and just keeping it real.
And
you
there's nothing
real to everyone else. You're fine.
There's nothing worse than having to take advice from Vaughn about social media.
But
he's so young.
But you know what though?
He could be my
so
son.
intelligent.
You know,
he's so
No, I
intelligent.
feel bad because I was like, I don't want to. I was like, oh, maybe do this, but I was like, dude, this guy knows what he's. You know, I was
But
like,
you know what?
Except they don't.
You're right, Vaughn. Though
I don't.
you're right. I wouldn't have found out about this book if I did not run into Vaughn. And I'm being completely honest. If I did not run into him at a con, and I interact with a lot of people at Comic Cons when I work them, but it's always the people that how can I put it? They have an openness to them and they're intelligent and they're very passionate and they know what they're looking for and they love this and they can hold a conversation with you. So when he talked and I was like, I have to look out for this because there was something very serious and very sincere and genuine about him and just the intelligence. I couldn't believe what he was talking to me about. I was like, how old are you? I was like, oh, in a way, he was like, he kind of reminds me of like a young me at that age.
Funny,
that's when I first started working Comic Cons. I was around his age, you know, and I was with the shop and I was like, oh, he kind of reminds me of me, like how I used to go and not interact necessarily with other vendors, but how I'd be when I would approach, the artists and the writers and the creators and just how I would approach people in the industry and the stuff I used to talk to them about. And, you know, I just loved it. It was so refreshing. And that con, I would say there wasn't many people with that kind of personality out there at that con. So it was just great.
It's a really quiet convention, but it was nice. I kind of liked it. I felt this. Yeah, I liked it too. Maybe I'll go again this year.
It was a good. I'm going to be working it. You should come.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Which con was it? Now I'm curious.
Wicked Con in Boston.
So Wicked Comic Con. It was a con that the owners of it, they used to run Boston Comic Con before they sold.
Oh, I never got the joke until now. Wicked because of Wicked Smart.
Wicked because of Mass. We say Wicked.
I didn't even.
Wicked.
I just was like, oh, that's an interesting.
They used to run Boston Comic Con, and when Boston Comic Con was great. Fan Expo. I've worked too many fan expos to to feel otherwise, because Fan Expo is more celebrity focused, and people will hate me all I want, but I will speak honestly. It's more celebrity focused than it is creator focused. And when I go to a Comic-Con, I want to see the focus on the artist, the inkers, the pencil, the pencilers, the colorists, the writers. That's where I want the focus to be on a Comic-Con, not on a celebrity. That's just me personally. And, I want to buy stuff more than just prints.
And I'm not just saying this, but I literally have this conversation every time I talk about conventions, because everybody wants to know why we're not there. You're right. They put all the artists into the small gym, right?
They do.
Yeah. And so all of a sudden we've got the heroes because I remember that's where I met Scott Williams and Alex Sinclair.
You met Scott Williams?
Scott's awesome. And he kind of, these are guys that helped us along the way too. So
Alex
and Scott are fantastic.
I've never met Scott Williams. I've worked hundreds of cons. I've never met him at a con.
No, salt of the earth. And but here he is where they're promoting who knows what movies in the big, like selling Pokemon mystery boxes or something. I don't know.
All this stuff.
Yeah. But it took away from what we love the cons for. So that's funny you said that, because I say that all the time. It drives me nuts. And that's why I think we might do San Diego. I'm not really sure. We'll do C2E2 in Chicago.
Everyone should do San Diego or New York. I highly recommend that. You know why? Yeah. Because those are shows that you're going to sell stuff at. No matter what, it's an experience. You want to get there at the beginning. It's set up. You want to see how everything is set up. It's amazing. I've been blessed to work, I think, 5 or 6 New York Comic Cons in my lifetime. Yeah. And we go in and you're locked in there. I mean, when you're a vendor, you're literally locked in there for almost like 24 hours in New York. You're locked in there setting up for 24 hours. You get 2 days to set up. It is complete pandemonium, but it is crazy. You see everything getting built up, and then you see where, oh my God, like for me, I'm a big Art Adams person. So I'm always like to know, where is Art Adams going to be? Yeah. Okay. I met Art Adams and I cried the first time I met him. I've never cried meeting anybody. I've met a ton of people. I've met a ton of people in my lifetime, but Art Adams, I was just, you're my favorite. He's like, bring your books. I'll sign them all for you. Oh, you signed them for me. So yeah, he did. He signed them for me for nothing. So,
yeah, he's great.
I'm always, you can see, although I was unhappy with the last Artist Alley setup for New York, because it was very crowded.
Were you at the last New York one?
No, I didn't work. I didn't work the last New York one. I haven't. The last New York Comic Con I worked was the year before COVID hit.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I was there too then. Yeah. I mean, we were just.
It was very crowded. The Artist Alley was very crowded. However, you would more likely be in the vendor artist area, which there would be more room.
We weren't just playing. We were just there visiting.
Oh, I'm saying you would probably be put in that area. There's like a vendor artist area where like some of the independent companies and everything are. Depending though, if you showed up there with Chuck Dixon and Mel Ruby and everything, you're going to end up in Artist Alley though. That's where you're going to end up there. But it was crowded. I was not. Yeah. I wasn't. I was like, well, all of these. It's Comic Con. These are the people that make the comic, and there's like no room. They're like sardines in a can.
Yeah, I thought New York was awesome. I think Anaheim's a great one. But Chicago's great, but we're used to there. So being in New York, we went down to Greenwich Village. It was a great time. I mean, everything outside of the convention was fantastic. It just seemed like it was more movie driven,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it really is.
Yeah.
Wizard World used to be a great con to work too. But yeah, that's the story about Fan Expo. I'm just not a fan of Fan Expo. I'm sorry. People may hate me for it, but it is what it is. I'm not a fan of Fan Expo. I've worked them. So when you work it, especially from a vendor standpoint, I just don't think, I think, you're going to be more respectful of your vendors and be more respectful of the creators, because that's what the con is really about. So Vaughn, now I got to get back on track here. I got to rein myself in after my little con rant. This is me keeping it real. Vaughn, what was your biggest learning experience? I
guess coming from the default to working in comics would be, everything. But I guess I would say, the social media thing obviously was a big help, just promoting the book. But learning it, I'd say just more about the process, because I didn't even know things like, because I wasn't sure how pages were drawn. I almost thought that they were just like different pieces of art that someone puts it together. I didn't even, I wasn't even sure that it was just drawn as pages. So I guess learning even just some of the basics was great. Because I mean a lot really. When I say everything, I mean everything. Even how comics are written was a great learning experience. Oh wait, you were asking about promotion though.
No, I'm asking about anything you want to talk about, Vaughn. I mean, you really came out there with a bang. I mean, your first editing gig, and you get to.
It was unreal. It was unreal. That was like my flex card. I was like, I worked on a Chuck Dixon book. That was my.
You didn't even tell me that though at first when you told me about the book. No, you didn't even say. You said, "Oh, I'm editing a book. It's Hunter Ninja Bear. It's Phenom Comics," and you didn't even throw it. I was floored. I was floored when I saw him. Like Chuck, he edited for Chuck Dixon.
All right, so that would be a learning experience.
Editing? Like little old me.
So that would be a learning experience, I guess. Yeah, promoting, I guess, would be like how much you have to go on social media. Like I would be working on movie sets at the time, and like every day, like when I get bored or whatever, I'd just be like, oh yeah, let me post about Hunter Ninja Bear again today. Like the 5th time, and that was a big thing. Really, just promoting, just telling everyone, bothering all my friends, bothering my family members. That was fun. Because I realized also people have more money on Facebook than on Instagram, because people be like, that's cool. But then they're kids in college and they're like, yeah, I've never bought a comic before. I'm not starting now. And it's like, that's fair. Well, some of them do. Actually, a lot of them did. A lot of them, some of my friends, is their first comic book, which is great.
Wow.
And also even just going through TikTok, I remember I was talking to Tom. I was like, all these guys like who just review comics. I was like, should I reach out to these guys? And then a couple of them, even I streamed with one of those guys after. He was like, hey, I'm working on my stuff. He sent me like some stuff. He's like, hey, since you worked on this, now I want your feedback. A few of them have reached out to me after reviewing it and said, hey, I want to work on my own stuff. So really just working on it has shown how the comic book community is so great just in helping each other out, the indie scene. They're not stabbing each other in the back. They're like reaching out, sending a hand. It's great. Just always networking, how important networking is. I think that's what I learned.
Yeah.
Let's see. Darko D13 said, I saw the book on Kickstarter kind of randomly, got a digital copy. Then I'll probably grab a physical now. On Indiegogo, the book is in demand. So you can grab it on Indiegogo, I believe. I don't know how long it's going to be in demand for. Quality stuff. When is the next Phenom book launching? That's what he wants to know.
Oh, there's a Tom question.
Yeah, that's tricky. And so through this, we were looking for ideas to put in the back of Hunter Ninja Bear. We were actually going to make it a little bigger. We were going to put a little snippet, little story. So we reached out to Chuck and said, Chuck, do you have little stories? We'd like to sneak one in. And he goes, what? And Chuck, once again, this is a testament to all the people, Rob, Vaughn, everybody in the books that we even mentioned. Everyone is just really, just pulling in the same direction. So he goes, there's a book that myself and Bob P. Harden have been working on for years. It's kind of Smokey and the Bandit meets Cheech and Chong. It's just one big car race. It's just a big, it's a kind of a big kind of scope of a story. Would you be interested in it? Yeah, let's check it out. I read it, loved it, and that will be the next book coming out. So,
okay.
So we're waiting though, because Hunter Ninja Bear, we're just trying to really figure out the comic book side of it, or the comic book store. We don't want to take any focus away from Hunter Ninja Bear, because that's our pilot, and we just don't want to say, okay, we're moving on. So right now we're talking out west. We're trying to get that done, and we don't want to get off of it before, because there's still room to grow. It still has to get hot. It's been very well received, but we got to get it to more people. So 7 Deadly Sinners, it's another great book that's ready to roll. We've got the Star Riders. That's Scott McDaniel, Tony Bedard, who writes Call of Duty.
You should pull up the website real quick.
Yeah,
you have the website. Hold on, let me pull it up. Comics.
Yeah, but so we do have a host of books ready to roll. It's just, I guess we're new at this. We don't we don't want 5 books on the shelf at once.
Yeah.
We'd rather roll out a book, let it go, understand how the business works, and then get and then learn from our mistakes versus learn from our mistakes on all 5 books. We'd rather learn from our mistakes on one book. Yeah.
Smart.
I'm just going to pull up your webpage real quick, and then we'll probably head out of here soon. Spencer is getting battered with a storm out in Connecticut. Yeah, so
there's a little something that's on mine too.
Yeah.
This is what you have that is available.
So Star Riders will be coming. Something Fierce. That will be, so it's basically going to go Hunter Ninja Bear, 7 Deadly Sinners, Star Riders, Something Fierce, Bambraze, and Icor. So Icor is more of a John Wick meets Blade Runner, and then we've got a couple more books after that. We just got to get these out before we move on.
Yeah, I mean, you have you have a great team of writers and artists here. I mean, I didn't even hit view all.
Right.
Yeah, I remember I ran into Ace Continuato and another guy, just like Phenom. Every time I see some Phenom, it's like, oh my god, like Bart Sears. I ran into him, and we ended up hanging out.
Alex isn't on there. I don't think Lee Duhigg. He's phenomenal. Gabe, we got Bob, we got Taylor Esposito.
You have just a great team of.
And that's not even all of them, to tell you the truth. I just haven't done the website in a while. There's about 5 that are missing, so I apologize to everybody.
And do you have an email list on here and everything, like a sign up?
Yeah, I guess we're not there yet.
Okay.
I think we do, but it's not like I would check it. If anything, just go to info@Phenom Comics, and any question will be answered immediately. So it's info@Phenom Comics. It's just, we put the website out there just because you can buy our book there as well.
Yeah.
And we have a bigger idea of what we want the webpage to be. It's just one of those projects that we just got to get to it. We're just focused on the books right now, but our website design, Joe and I mapped out what we want it to be, and it's pretty neat. So we modeled it after somebody that we saw in a completely different industry. So we're going to migrate that into us, or into Phenom, and I think it's going to be pretty neat. It's going to be more interactive.
And people, they can get Hunter Ninja Bear off this website as well.
Yes.
So they can get it. So there's a couple options. So Indiegogo, it's in demand off of the website. Kickstarter, I don't think Kickstarter goes in demand.
No. So it's bookstore, and then you can get the electronic off of Apple or Amazon.
Amazon or Apple.
Yeah, and then Amazon physical too. And what we're working on right now is we're working with Barnes and Noble and Walmart. So
Barnes and Nobles and Walmart, that's great. And then the shops, you're trying to get into local comic shops. So I mean, with the previews, I mean, I wish you all of the luck on that. And just anybody that has backed this book, and if you know somebody in a comic shop, bring them down your physical copy, because that's what shop owners want to see. When it's a newer company or a newer title, they want to see the physical copies in their hand. That's what it comes down to with these shop owners. I guarantee you, if you sent out a package to a shop owner, and said, here's a copy of the book, if you're interested, we're going to be in previews. I mean, unfortunately, that's just kind of how it is.
Yeah, no, and it's hard because the previews book is more or less a phone book, and it's trying to find one name. Yeah. And we're learning, but all the comic book stores, all the owners and the managers are just phenomenal people, and they've got a business to run too. So, at $29.99, I know our books, it's not like a monthly, $5 monthly. So I know we're sort of in a little niche, but it's a quality product. So
I was content paying what I paid for this. I mean, the quality is amazing. I've read through this a couple times. I'm here bending it. I mean, the binding's really good on it. Look, the binding hasn't snapped. I've read it a couple times. I also like that I read it and it didn't crease up. My binding didn't get all screwed up by reading it.
Well, hey, Kayla, send me an email and give me your address, because we'll send you a boatload of books and then some Phenom hats or shirts, whatever you want. Oh, you know what? Forget about that. You know what we're going to do is send you books, but we're going to give you the movie poster. It's an exclusive. There's only 100 made, and you'll get a movie poster. So you can keep it in a storage.
I got mine.
That's so
there you
cool.
go. Yeah.
What? Vaughn has one?
Hey, he bought it. What do you
So
want?
awesome. Is there anything else that you guys would like to share? before we head out, just because poor Spencer's getting battered in the store right now.
Well, just Kayla, hey, thank you so much for Phenom. Vaughn, thank you for setting this up, you guys. Seriously, it means the world to us. And thanks for everyone that's watching. Just trust in Phenom Comics. We are trying our best to provide stories that we can all talk about. So our only goal here is to make great stories. That's it.
You did with the first one. I mean, I'm now a customer. I'm sold. So I was
Star Riders is great.
And then, you're not on Twitter at all or anything. So if anyone wants to contact you, they can email you off the store page, correct?
I guess Twitter. We're on Twitter. We're on our Instagram. We're on Facebook.
The Phenom page. Yep, there we go. Sorry, I was like, you personally. I'm totally forgetting you have a whole company. I literally tagged Phenom.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, if you do info at Phenom Comics, Joe and I do receive that. I mean, we're not a large company, so everything kind of comes to us. But
awesome. And
then I also do want to thank Vaughn and Rob and everybody that's associated with Phenom Comics and even Hunter Ninja Bear. I hope people realize that the book was how can I say it? Everybody put everything into it. Everybody put both barrels into it. There was no, hey, I'll get back to you on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Rob gave everything. Vaughn gave everything. Chuck Dixon. This isn't one of these, hey, we'll do it next week kind of things. So I think everybody will see that it's just a good little book.
It's a great book. It is a great book. It's more than good. It's great. I'm saying it's great. Rob, where can everyone find you?
RobHunterArt.com. Rob Hunter Art on Instagram, Rob Hunter Art on Twitter. I think I don't know if it's set up yet, but DethRaider.com. Everyone always forgets it's Deth, DETH, but DethRaider.com, DethRaider.net.
The Indiegogo campaign.
Yes, and then Deth
Sign
Raider.
up for your pre-launch.
Exactly. So and any other places that Vaughn's gonna tell me to
more
advice from the 20-some-year-old since I'm an old man. So
And Vaughn, where can everyone find you? You have a YouTube show that you run. You're on another YouTube channel as well, and
so I'm so my YouTube channel, Vaughn Coleman, just my name. I thought that was simpler. I'm also an associate producer on they joke I'm the intern on Billy's show, Pop XP, Billy Tucci's show with Niall Scala. On Instagram, Vaughn Coleman, Facebook, I'm on Twitter, Vaughn Coleman or Vaughn M. Coleman, I think is my handle. That's all my stuff. Yeah. So,
all right, guys. Yeah.
All that.
All right.
So everyone, sign up for Deth Raider, I'll say first, and then go get yourself a copy of Hunter Ninja Bear.
yes,
Seriously, this is I have to really think of all the books that I backed this year, but this is definitely in my top 5. All of the links are in the video description. Give everybody a follow, and thank you all for coming out this evening. And to those who watch later on, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and sub to the Deth Curse channel. All right, guys, have a great evening. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Spencer. Thanks, you guys.
For watching.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.